She flipped me off while live streaming herself, stealing my ATV, shouting, "My mommy owns this neighborhood. What are you going to do about it?" I just stood there, fists clenched, watching the purple paint my late wife had picked vanish in a cloud of burning rubber. That wasn't just theft. It was a declaration of war, and it came straight from the daughter of the woman who'd been making my life hell for over a year. My name's Marcus Tank Wheeler. Retired Army mechanic 47, and a man who thought settling in Willowbrook Estates would give me and my son a quiet life after my wife Sarah passed. That ATV wasn't just a machine, it was her last gift to us, a project we finished together in the weeks before cancer took her. Every bolt tightened with Devon, every stitch in the seat sewn by our own hands. Sarah whispered the color into existence, purple like Arizona sunsets. Seeing that spoiled brat tear off with it was like watching her spit on my wife's grave. The queen behind it all was Delilah Morrison, HOA President Predator in pearls. She turned homeowner rules into weapons, and she had her husband Bradley, a city councilman, pulling strings downtown. Her empire ran on fear and citations, $150 fines for dents in garage doors, $300 for unsightly trucks, $2,800 to push an old widow like Mrs. Henderson out of her home. Veterans, blue-collar workers, anyone without a country club membership, those were her targets. And her daughter Skylar, 19 and useless, was the crown princess of entitlement. At first, I paid the fines, thought being neighborly would make it stop. Biggest mistake of my life. Delilah smelled weakness like a shark in blood. Skylar had been circling my ATV for months, joking about giving it real adventure. I always told her no. Then, one March morning, my garage roared alive, and there she was, recording herself like some outlaw influencer, middle finger high. Screaming, "Finders keepers, loser." I wanted to chase her, but 20 years in the Army teaches you patience. Soldiers don't react, we plan. So I screenshotted everything, her Instagram stories, her friends' comments, every smug new ride. Thanks Daddy's Connections caption. Then I called the police. Officer Rodriguez came scratched notes like he was writing a grocery list and sighed. Maybe try working this out neighborly. That's when I knew the Morrisons had friends downtown, and I was on my own. 6 hours later, Skylar dumped my ATV back like garbage. Mud plastered the paint, deep scratches gouged into Sarah's purple boot prints stamped across the seat we'd stitched by hand. My chest tightened. I measured the damage, $1,200 at least. In Arizona, that's felony territory. I documented every inch, time-stamped photos, repair estimates, the works. While I was snapping evidence, a text buzzed my phone. "Hope you learned your lesson. Some people own this neighborhood. Others just rent space in it. Screenshot saved." Another line for the case file. But I'll admit it, that night sitting alone in my kitchen with cold coffee, I asked myself if I was the problem. Maybe I should have kept my head down, paid the fines, ignored Skylar's antics. Maybe it wasn't worth dragging my son and neighbors through more of this war. For a moment, I almost believed it until Mrs. Henderson showed up crying, her window shattered by a brick. That's when it hit me they weren't just after me. They were destroying lives, stealing homes, ruining people who couldn't fight back. If I quit, they'd win. And Sarah, she'd never forgive me for rolling over. So I fought back. I planted a GPS tracker in the ATV's frame, set up trail cameras, wired my property like a military outpost. If Princess Entitled tried round 2, I'd have proof. And she did. Weeks later, alerts pinged my phone, my ATV screaming toward downtown Phoenix. I followed the signal into a warehouse party that smelled like cheap beer and bad decisions. There it was, my wife's memory turned into a carnival ride. Drunk kids lined up while Skylar charged $50 a head. No safety, no license, just cash in her Venmo and videos for Instagram. My hands shook with rage, but my brain cataloged everything: screenshots, payment receipts, customer testimonies. She wasn't just a thief anymore. She was running an unlicensed rental business with my stolen property. Felony conversion. And those drunk customers, they posted their own evidence, online videos of Skylar handing out alcohol to already wasted riders. Arizona's strict liability laws don't play games. Every beer bottle was another felony. Meanwhile, Delilah struck back through HOA bureaucracy. A certified letter slammed me with $2,400 in fines, illegal cameras' oil spots, frivolous police reports. But her arrogance betrayed her. The notice carried only her signature. Arizona law requires a majority board vote for big fines. I knew because I'd been up till 2 a.m. with the gas station coffee and HOA statutes. That's when I realized Delilah wasn't just petty. She was running a foreclosure racket, fast-tracking liens, stealing homes, funneling property to her own company. I wasn't alone anymore. Mrs. Henderson joined me. The Martinez family drove back from their forced relocation with boxes of evidence. Even neighbors too scared before started talking. Together, we built a coalition, and I filed complaints with the Arizona Department of Real Estate. For once, the bureaucracy Delilah had weaponized was aimed at her. That's when the intimidation turned nasty. Midnight calls with heavy breathing. A black sedan parked outside my house every night. Then, Mrs. Henderson's tires were slashed. The message was clear: stop fighting or else. But here's what Delilah didn't get. Veterans don't abandon allies. I organized a neighborhood watch patrols, radios, cameras. Within a week, our coverage could have spotted a jaywalking squirrel. The intimidation stopped cold. Bullies hate fair fights. And the evidence kept piling. Delilah had stolen $47,000 in illegal fines laundered through consulting fees. Her daughter posted a video showing how to grind VIN numbers off stolen ATVs' federal crime mandatory minimums. Marcus Jr., Henderson's accountant's son, dug through tax records and found Delilah hadn't reported a dime of her HOA theft to the IRS. We weren't talking petty fines anymore. We were talking tax evasion, money laundering, organized crime. The breaking point came during a board meeting. Skylar crashed in drunk, waving a pistol like it was a toy, shouting, "You keep poking the hive. Old man, this stops now, or we make sure you don't have anything left to fight with." Gasps filled the room. My trail cameras caught everything. Witnesses saw it all. That was the night the tide turned Delilah's empire crossed from corruption into violent criminal conspiracy. Federal agencies swooped in fast after my whistleblower complaint. The IRS, the FBI, even insurance fraud investigators, they all connected the dots. Raids were scheduled. I sat at my kitchen table, my garage transformed into a command center, files stacked like military maps, knowing the war was about to end. At 6 a.m., sharp black SUVs swarmed the Morrison house. Agents in tactical gear stormed the doors while neighbors lined the sidewalks watching years of fear collapse in real time. News helicopters circled overhead. Mrs. Henderson cried tears of vindication on her porch. The Martinez family cheered as Delilah was hauled out in handcuffs. Skylar, she got arrested live at a college party still shouting, "We're rich, you can't do this to us." Federal charges said otherwise. Grand theft tax fraud. RICO conspiracy. Bradley's city council career went up in flames, exposed for bribery and kickbacks. In court, I testified for 3 hours, every photo, every GPS ping, every receipt laid bare. The defense tried to paint me as a bitter veteran with a vendetta, but facts don't care about spin. The jury saw through it. Skylar exploded in open court screaming profanities, claiming her family owned half the city. That tantrum sealed their fate. Guilty on all counts.